Hi, I've been asked to make a video about OCD, or Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. When we have something that is thought-based, some kind of a disorder which is very much thought-based, I believe that it can be very much overcome. What is OCD? I will speak mostly from my experience and from seeing other people and understanding it in I guess my own way. But OCD is where you have a thought or a belief in which you are very much lost in such a way where it becomes obsessive. Example, it comes out of trauma a lot of times, or it does not have to. For some reason, your mind can get very obsessive over one set of thought, over a certain thought pattern. And as with everything which is in the mind, which is in the behavior, in the unconscious, it's a cycle. Everything comes in cycles. So it's the same with addictions, it's the same with thinking. And this cycle can be many things. I will mention now one person that I've seen talking about this in the past, and that is that their father died. He was living alone with a mom. And out of fear that the mother will die also, their mind created a scenario which said, if I do something wrong, I will lose my mother also. So it's usually very silly. Okay, it is very silly when you look at it from an outside perspective. But if you are very lost in that thought belief, it is very painful. So keep in mind, it's extremely painful and exhausting because all the attention is kept in the mind when it's something severe. There are different types of, or different levels of OCD, I would say, but always it's something silly. So this person, as an example, said, I would go to sleep at night and I would put on my socks, and I've felt, or in the mind, a thought came that my right sock has been put on wrong, just without any real reason that they could see, but the thought that the sock is on wrong is there. And if that sock is not gonna be put on correctly, when they wake up in the morning, the mother is gonna die also, and they will be left alone. It doesn't make sense. It's delusional, and it has no reality. It's like an intrusive thought believed into. But the issue with that is that it is a random thought which comes out of the trauma, right? If it would be random thought like, oh, if I put on my sock wrong, I will wake up and I will lose my socks. There is no value in it for the mind. There is no attention given to it. But it is exactly, absolutely the same as any other thought. Saying, if I don't put this sock on right, I might lose it during the sleep and then wake up without it, is the same as saying, if I put this sock wrong, my mother will die overnight. So then, out of the trauma and out of the fear, so much attention and belief was given into this thought, because it is as if, oh, it's not gonna happen, but what if? And that what if creates enough fear, pain, anxiety to make the person really struggle within their own mind, right? So then this person, he would say he would stay up, sometimes he would not sleep, he would stay up until 5 a.m. sweating by his bed. He said there would be sweat dripping down, he would be having panic attacks every time he put on the sock. And that's a lot of pain and strain to go through. Instead of sleeping, spending 5 hours putting on a sock, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, put it on, lie in the bed, think that the sock is wrong, and then, right? It's insane. This is insanity. There is nothing sane about this. And all it is just being obsessed over an outcome which your thought says. In my past, I have experienced OCD also. And it also came from quote-unquote intrusive thought. And to just share it, the stupidity of it, is that a huge amount of fear would be created because there was a lot of interest in murder stories, in detectives, and like people who would murder others. And then a lot of times you see people say, oh, he was such a good person, and then he snapped. But actually it was premeditated many times. But the younger me did not see that. So a thought came, what if I just lose control? This was a fear of control. This has nothing at all to do with reality. This was just a fear of losing control of one's body. And that stayed for at least 2 years after that. I think I was 17, 18, and at 19, all that was needed, for example, for my part, was that I've become religious and just trusted that my thoughts are not gonna come through. But so many rituals came out of it too. And one thing that was there, which was the most painful thing, was that first time this thought came, it immediately triggered a panic attack. Because so much insecurity comes, right? What if I just now go flip? Because I love my parents and I love people around me. What if I just flip and I just kill them? And then you obsess over that thought. You don't obsess over it as in, that's interesting. It's not a psychopathy or like some kind of craziness. You obsess over it in the fact of, why is the thought there? I do not want that thought. How do I get rid of that thought? And then more thoughts, as if I think about killing someone, does that make me a possible murderer? But I'm not a murderer, and it snowballs crazy. And then you just experience panic attacks because the mind goes into overdrive, right? So I'm just saying this because it is absolutely silly. It contradicts everything, and the obsession over it is just because it makes you feel either out of control, it makes you feel out of it triggers trauma. You understand where this comes from, right? So if someone is experiencing OCD, now to the second part of this video, is seeing the reality of the thought, right? So let's say you have the sock issue. It can go for everything, but you see that the reality of it is it's not real. The only reason it creates this discomfort is out of the feeling like you have to follow it, or that if you don't follow it, something wrong will happen. Alright? That is being obsessed with your thoughts. Because they have a stronger importance than the reality for you. And therefore, in reality, there is nothing happening. There is nothing that will happen. And there is nothing that it actually affects except your inner state, your mental state, and your emotional state. But in reality, nothing is affected. And with that, you can have enough trust that if you don't follow these thoughts, that nothing will actually happen. And overcoming this is challenging it. It is teaching you also to, for the first time, challenge your mind, but not in the way of trying to fight it or control it. It's a challenge in the reality of thought. And what's that teaching you is that thoughts have no reality. I heard one spiritual teacher say that he went post-awakening, he went through a delusion where if he went to the McDonald's and he ate a burger, he would have thoughts of like, oh my god, you are eating meat, you are eating a burger, and that makes you unenlightened, you are not there yet, you're a piece of shit, and so on and so on. And the only way to overcome it, because then you become obsessed with it. You're like, oh no, that makes me unawakened, and because I'm unawakened, then I need to overcome my burger problem. It's the same as with addictions. Oh, if I'm addicted to this, it makes me unawakened. And then you need to really work through it, and you're fighting this made-up thing in your mind. That is also a little bit of OCD. He was obsessed over defeating enjoyment of eating a burger. And then because you get so obsessed with it, that's exactly what's gonna happen. It's like really trying hard to not think about a monkey. That's all that's gonna happen. Because if you're already trying hard not to think about the monkey, that's you thinking about it. If you're already trying hard not to have a certain mental pattern, that's already it. So the lesson from it is that giving attention to any of your thoughts, either positive or negative, it does not matter whatsoever. It never mattered, and it will never matter. As long as attention is given to the mind, that's how the mind works. The mind doesn't work on what you want or don't want. It works on what gives it attention and what doesn't. If there is something that gives your mind more attention, then it will play out. If mind gets less attention on certain things, it will never come around. It is as if you are seeing a thought appearing, and then you go, oh, save. You click save on this one, and then it will be saved, and it will go in cycles. And the save button is the same one if you go, oh, that's a good thought, I need to remember that. And the same one is the one that goes, oh fuck, I don't want to think about this, that's horrible. What the fuck am I thinking about? Oh, that's so intrusive, I don't want this. That's also a save button. That's because it is given importance. It is making it huge. So then more reasons come out of it, and then it becomes a little bit more complicated. But to simplify it, it's all about attention and belief given into that thought, and identity. I keep saying it all the time. So what could be some methods and way to overcome this? Well, in all of my videos, and for people, if they come to me with something even a little small, I tell them to become more aware of it. To not be scared of looking at it when it comes up. Because when it comes up, your attention is very lost in it. It is as if there is no space to observe it. Because in that moment, there is only the thought and the situation of the thought, the reality of what you are thinking about. I had another person come up to me and they say, hey, I am very shy and insecure about my accent. When I'm to talk with someone, my accent is very strong, and because of that, I just am scared what they're gonna say, what they're gonna think about my accent, and I cannot talk to them. But also, I never know what to talk about. And I said, well, the reason you don't know what to talk about is because you are so in the thought, so attentive to the thought of worrying, oh, what will they think, and oh my god, what will I say? The paradox of it is the thought that says, oh, what am I gonna say? Oh my god, I don't know what to say, is the one that's taking you from being able to say something. Because that's where your attention goes. Then you have no attention to pay to the person and actually talk. And I told them, when I'm talking with them, I'm not using my attention for thinking about what I'm gonna say next. I have not once stopped to think about anything else than my intention here. My intention is talking about OCD and then using memory to remember certain things and certain parts. But now I'm not using my thoughts or anything else. Now there is just speaking. Out of that, you can see that a lot of those thoughts take you from the reality. And then you don't understand, oh, why don't I know what to talk about? Because you're lost in what to talk about. It's funny, it's a joke. But many things like this are a joke, like the OCD. How am I gonna get rid of this? Is either refusing it and then trying to fight it. But the reason why it's there is out of your belief that it has a reality, that if you do not follow it, that something bad will happen, or that you will feel bad. It creates a feeling of, if you do not complete the ritual or something which this thought requires in order for everything to be okay, then a bad feeling comes, like something is wrong. But that is also just a feeling. And that feeling also has no reality truly. It is just in your inner state. And all feelings come and go. But in the moment, in the unconscious, you just do things also compulsively out of feelings, out of thoughts. Because the feeling, you don't have enough insight to see that the feeling passes. So in the moment, bad feeling comes. You do something about it. It's the same with, for example, pornography. It's the same with addictions. OCD is an addiction to thought. Pornography is addiction to lust, to pleasure. So then, let's say then someone feels horny. They have that energy arise, and they run and they cut it, because they cannot deal with it. They cannot allow it to be. Then they have an addiction for smoking. There is an urge, there is a felt sensation that arises. And the only reason for addiction is because you are unaccepting of a discomfort being experienced in your body. Because it feels wrong. But literally accepting absolutely everything and being in a relaxed state is all you need for overcoming those things. It's also funny that people struggle their whole life with an addiction, and all there is to just allow the things to play out. It's all fear, it's all out of control. So then, looking at the thought, I think this was one of my first videos, is that you are not your thoughts. And you are not your feelings either. That does not invalidate them. That doesn't mean that your feelings and thoughts are not valid. They make up your individuality. That's why you should accept them and allow them to do whatever, to come up. And they will come up more refined and more actually helpful to your person than they are when you resist them. Or when you're too lost and identified with them. So, becoming more aware, in the basic sense, means observing your inner state, observing the thought, but with a distance from them, not as them or as them being reality. Your thoughts don't dictate reality, and just that understanding can make you free of this. So then, my teaching is, you see that there is no thought. Now, just check in on the inside, no thought. Say hi 3 times in your mind, silently in your mind. Okay, you've experienced hi 3 times in the mind. Now there is no more hi happening. There is no more. There is a space, even if it's like half a second. If I say pay attention, even if a thought came in, there was at least 0.2 seconds of attention. And even in that small, tiny space of silence of the mind, you're still here. You still are. And that proves that you are not your thoughts. Thoughts come and go, play out and disappear. You are not playing, going, disappearing, or moving with the thoughts. If you think I'm a beautiful, beautiful girl, nothing really changes. If you think I'm a ugly, ugly boy, nothing really changes. If you believe into it, your perception of reality changes. But if you don't believe it, that thought will not even arise. A manly man who takes himself as a man, very manly, will look in the mirror, and if his mind says, oh, I'm such a pretty girl, if it even arises, he will go, what the fuck am I, what? Where is that from? What am I thinking? Whatever. They will go on. But if a very manly looking man, the same one, will really believe that he's a girl and have she-her identity, as people like now, that thought will be always there. His mind will act like that pretty girl. You see how it alters reality? But it actually doesn't. It doesn't alter reality. It alters your perception of it. So then it's like you're in a dream, right? Then what is actually real? What actually is real is what is happening moment to moment, and not your idea of it. Your ideas, your beliefs are not real. And that doesn't mean that, and I like to say this a lot, that doesn't mean you should not have them or fight them. This means that you be flexible with them. So then they don't get to make you suffer and bothered and ruin your life like this. So you experienced no thought, you still are. Then thought happens, whatever it says, doesn't matter. You still are. Thought disappears, you still are. Why do some thoughts have more weight and some less? It's because that's how you're conditioned. That's what you're conditioned to believe. Everyone has different conditioning, but the mind is the same. Everyone has the same tool, but everyone uses it differently. So then, how's it with the feelings? Notice what feelings are there now. Remember that you were sad, or maybe happy, other way around, doesn't matter. No feeling, then you experience feeling playing out. You experience feelings changing and disappearing. Same thing. You're not them. And that makes enough space for you to observe them without fear and without being lost in them. So observe more and more, and when the thought which bothers you comes up, just watch it. Watch it and compare it to actual reality. So for this person with the sock, it would be, oh, if I put this sock on wrong, my mother is gonna die tomorrow. It's scary as fuck because it hits exactly on the biggest vulnerability of his entire life, losing his father. It's painful. It's horrible. Like, it's a horrible sensation to experience. Seeing that he is not the thought and it is just another appearance, as if a cloud passing, as if a car going by, nothing to do about it. How are you gonna control it? It's just there, it just went by. You can return your attention back to the body. What is happening in the body? Oh, I'm putting on my sock. Okay, I put it on, and the thought says, oh my god, it's wrong, your mom is gonna die. Challenge it. Say, okay, that's what the thought says. Let me go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Maybe it would be so difficult that he would just lie in the bed with those thoughts. But if you're determined, you just prove it wrong. He would lie there for a while, then anyway fall asleep. Because just you're tired, you know? And then in the morning he wakes up, mother is alive. Oh, so... okay, my thought dictated this. It really felt like that's real. But all it was is me believing it. Okay, so that just proves to me again. Let's try it again. Next day, again. Oh, if you put on the sock wrong, your mother is gonna die. Yesterday, yeah, but like it might happen in a week. Okay. Take him up on the challenge. Then you'll see in a week, nothing happens. It's just a stupid sock. And it's the same with everything. People don't want to step on cracks of the street because I'm going to work, and if I step on the crack, I might lose my job. Okay. Step on all the cracks. Go to the work. Okay, you're working. Okay, nothing happened. Why believe it? Why would you believe it? And if a funny thing happens, oh, I'm gonna step on a crack and I lose my job. You step on all the cracks, then you actually lose your job. Then take it up again. Or if I step on the cracks while going from the job, because I just lost it. Oh my god, it's true. If I step on the cracks now, I will come home and my home will explode. Then do it, step on the cracks, and that's less likely to happen. You know, it's never... what I'm saying is that it never happens. It's never that your thoughts actually dictate reality. If they did, then the world would look very different, okay? And if you had control over your thoughts, or if you were your thoughts, then you would not be having these disorders. The disorder is there because you're not it. You're just lost in it. So observe it with distance. Keep reconfirming that there are moments when you don't have thoughts. Keep confirming that there are moments where the emotion changes, when the thoughts change. And even if you feel like there is not a moment where you're not thinking, then see how they're changing, the thoughts. Now the thought says, oh, I'm gonna go eat. Then the thought says, oh, I'm gonna go sleep. It's different thoughts, but that other one is gone already, and you were before it, and you are after it. So then many thoughts which you pick up, and many beliefs and opinions which you pick up are never you. You're not your opinions, your beliefs, your takes and ideals. You're not them. You weren't them at 10 years old. You weren't them when you were born. It's all that you picked up. And it's the same as now. You were there before them, you are there where you experienced them, and you are there past them when they're gonna be gone. They are not you, because you don't change, come and go with them. So then just observe it and make distance between what you are and what are they. Just watch them as another thing which is observable, but not as you. And then when you see something which you know is there wonky, then just grab the attention and put the attention on the body, on what's happening. Thank you.